And so let's listen to this. This is, I won't tell you who it is, so you can probably guess, but it's from 11 years ago. So let's bring this up. Ties very well into what we're talking about today. Recognize them?
To make Bitcoin big and boring so that the majority can start accepting it. So that's why I think we are right there. We have a long way to go in the growth of Bitcoin. And let's now take a look at some possible future valuations. Global hedge funds, for example, they have around $2.3 trillion under management, a part of which is cash. So we can imagine they might diversify just 1% into Bitcoin. Should that happen, according to my calculations, the Bitcoin price should rise to over $1,000 for one Bitcoin. Argentina, there's about $50 billion worth of paper money circulating, and I do mean dollars, so greenbacks circulating in Argentina. Should the Argentines one day decide, or maybe over time decide to switch that into Bitcoin, Bitcoin prices will rise to over $2,000 per Bitcoin. Gold bugs, gold is money, but Bitcoin is money too, and it has some interesting characteristics. So maybe in the future, people that own gold today might want to divest just 1% into Bitcoin, in which case we see prices rise to over $3,500 for a Bitcoin. And then if we've arrived there, I mean, why wouldn't it just keep continuing? I don't see why not, because the more people get involved, the stronger the network becomes, the more entrepreneurs that are there to make things very easy so that even grandmothers can start using it, etc. So let's continue our possible projections. We know that the global shadow economy, for example, has a size of around $15 trillion. This is 2012. If we assume that the volume of Bitcoin today would rise to something equal to that of the shadow economy, so basically the black market would become a Bitcoin-based or a cryptocurrency-based black market. And if I assume then that the Bitcoin price would rise equally so, which we can talk about whether that's a good idea, then Bitcoin prices would rise to around $160,000 for a Bitcoin. Should Bitcoin actually become the new gold? People talk about Bitcoin like gold 2.0, the new gold. They actually use that phrase quite loosely these days. If this really is the case, we know that there's around 155,000 tons of above ground gold. These are the most conservative estimates I could find, the James Turk estimates, and multiply that with the gold price. Total valuation is around $7.2 trillion. So if Bitcoin really does become the new gold, one Bitcoin should be worth around $340,000. I mean, imagine the implication. You own 3 Bitcoins today, and that makes you a millionaire tomorrow. You own 3,000 Bitcoins and you're on your way to become a billionaire. I mean, so you can see the kind of risk-reward ratio we are talking about. And then finally, I mean, Bitcoin is the new gold. The black market is using Bitcoin. Why wouldn't Bitcoin become the new world reserve currency? And then based on, again, the most conservative numbers I could find, what I come up with is a Bitcoin price a little over $500,000 for one Bitcoin. So very exciting indeed. Again, that's why I think the risk-reward ratio of Bitcoin is extraordinary. Everybody should own just a few Bitcoins, even if it's just a tiny percentage.
That was quick. I thought it was going to be longer than that. I was sitting back, relaxing there. Let's remove that. As DXY says here, that was Tour de Minimeister, or however you say his last name. I don't know. So that was 11 years ago. Said it was going to hit 500K. And at the time, it was worth $100. And so he didn't factor in public companies holding Bitcoin. That wasn't on his bingo card there. So I think it'll be really cool to look back in 11 years from now. Maybe somebody will, in 11 years from now, show a clip from the Daily Bitcoin Journey talking about my predictions. But at the time, you could see how he was laughing there. He was laughing almost like a nervous laugh because it sounded so crazy 11 years ago that Bitcoin could go from $100 to $3,500 and then to $70,000 and then to $500,000. And so we've already kind of crossed a lot of those bridges in terms of what he predicted and the prices. And so I think that when we're looking back 11 years from now, when we're talking crazy stuff on the Bitcoin journey here, that one sat is going to be equal to $1 one day, it might not be that crazy. So, and the more and more companies start buying Bitcoin and adding it to their balance sheet, the further that's going to accelerate.